Well, Black History Month is a time to celebrate the accomplishments and contributions Black Americans have made to society. But some parts of the fight for equality can be uncomfortable to remember. WDBJ7's Kyra Willis spoke with experts about the history of sundown towns in America.
Historians say sundown towns are cities or towns that intentionally kept people of color, specifically Black Americans, out of their town after sundown, with several documented right here in our region. I spoke with a history professor to learn more about these communities and their impact.
Sundown towns are spaces of psychological safety for the white permanent underclass and the working class and the middle class and the elite. So it transcends class, it transcends education attainment, it transcends religion.
Radford University African American Studies Director Frederick Douglass Dixon says sundown towns emerged in the late 1800s after the end of Civil War and slavery.
The sundown town in itself it's the symptom. Like the space in itself is a space that represents a mindset.
He says they're centered around this question.
What should be done with the presence of the troublesome Negro for maximum exploitation?
Dixon says they began as a way to promote the white race and prevent newly freed slaves from achieving success.
You think of sundown towns becoming popular after the end of the Civil War. So after 1865. Not that they didn't exist, but they become part of a larger narrative of slavery by another name after the Emancipation Proclamation. And one way to look at it is white massive resistance.
Sundown towns would usually emerge after a Black person was accused of a crime, leading the white population to place blame on the entire Black community and force them out, mainly through lynchings and arson.
It's representative of a power dynamic, and inside that power dynamic, the expectations are very violent. So a sundown town has its expectations. If you hear after a certain time, your life is not only in danger, your life can be taken. And lynching a lot of times was the medium. If not burning, if not shooting, if not stabbing.
Dixon says these communities use both legal and violent means to keep their population mostly white.
So it's systemic, it's institutional. It allows for a change in the life of the permanent white underclass, but not that same for even the Black middle class.
He says the Jim Crow era saw ordinances excluding Black people from property ownership or limiting what public services they had.
The problem was that Blacks had become landowners. That's the power dynamic. We're really talking about generational wealth and its inability to be passed along.
Dixon says it's important to recognize the significance of sundown towns because if we don't acknowledge the root of how they began, they are bound to grow.
Number one problematic issue is anti-Blackness. And it will continue.
While doing research, I discovered Fieldale is a documented sundown town. Dixon says while many of the racist practices are illegal in 2025, the culture of sundown towns still exists. In the studio, I'm Kyra Willis, WDBJ7.
And thank you, Kyra, for that story. According to historians, there are over a dozen documented sundown towns in the Commonwealth.